Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to give a brief update of where I am recovering from my brain surgery. And I thought it was important that I do this video today because when I spoke last, it was about a month after the surgery. I think it was right around the 1 month follow-up. And we are almost exactly 4 months since the surgery. And I want to say when I did that recording, and I'm going to have to go back and watch it. I'll make sure to link it in this video. But I want to say when I did that recording, I was in denial of where I was in my recovery. I thought I was better, like everything was great, recovered well, I'm over the surgery, and I was sadly mistaken. And I did not realize that until I attempted to do some things that I had not done in a while. And what I mean by that is I started, for a while, I am working remotely, so I don't have to go out a lot. And I am a homebody, so I'm home a lot anyway. And since the surgery, I hadn't been really venturing out too much because I was trying to gauge, my stamina, where I was in that process. And so we get to the end of summer, and my youngest was heading off to college, so we had to move him into his dorm. And right around the same time, we moved out of the office space that my business has occupied for the last, we were at that location for 18 years. So we had to move out of that office space, and we actually did both of those things on the same day. I moved my son into his dorm, and we moved out of that office space on the same day. Now, keep in mind, I'm not moving anything. We got movers for the office space, and for my son, I think I carried one bag up to the dorm room so I could see the room and that kind of stuff. But for the most part, everybody else carried stuff, so I wasn't doing that. But I was there physically. My presence was, needed, and so I was there. So that, getting ready for the move of the space, office space, I had to move some things around in my garage because there were a lot of items that we had to keep, and I wanted to have quick access to them. So I decided to move them closer to me as opposed to using a storage space. And so we had to move things around in the garage. And I did notice that day that I did a little bit too much. I had to sit down, and I just assumed it was because it was so hot outside because it was August. And I realized after, like I said, trying to do some other activities that it wasn't just that. So my grandsons, I have two. They were at the beginning of the summer. At that time, now they're 11 and 12. So they play Little League football as well as middle school football. And as a mother, as a Mimi, let's say Mimi, hold up, let's back up. Let's take out that grandmother thing. Mimi, my mom's grandma. So as a Mimi, I tried to be active and involved in what the kids are doing. I want to be present just like I was with my boys. And so I go to the football games on Saturdays and Wednesdays. And fortunately, my boys are very athletic, so they are involved in the action on the field, getting interceptions, making tackles, making touchdowns, those types of things. So obviously we're going to record them with the camera. We're going to scream and yell and be the loudest one in the stands, right? And I realized I could not do that. The very first game I went to, I went to cheer for my grandson making a touchdown, and I almost passed out. I was immediately lightheaded and I got dizzy, and I realized that, okay, yeah, everything is not what I thought it was. And there have been other little issues, and I'm going to go through some of the symptoms or side effects I've been having since the surgery. There is a difference in my balance now, so I'm struggling with balance. My stamina is not where it's supposed to be, but that's because I haven't been moving as much as I used to. So I do need to start walking, working out, that kind of thing. But I was kind of giving myself some time. Number one, I was waiting until it got a little bit cooler because I didn't want to be outside in the heat and pass out. Number two, I was trying to give myself a little bit of time to, feel close to 100% or maybe even 75% before I started working out and doing that kind of stuff. And back to the side effects. So there's balance, there's dizziness. I've been seeing floaters in my sight. And I don't know if this counts as a floater, but there are times when I'm looking and in my peripheral, I'll see things as if something is moving, but there's nothing there, which has been crazy for me. But one of the things that I've been having difficulty recalling words. I've been having difficulty getting words out of my mouth, maybe stumbling over them, or just not able to get them out. And I try to, when I do my videos for this channel, I try to remove any of the issues that I have so that they're not holding up the video. But there'll be times when I will pause to kind of take a second to get my words out and that kind of thing. Of course, the headaches and just not feeling myself, right? And all of the other little symptoms, and maybe I'm missing some. I did say trying to recall words. My memory is horrible. So I am having to make a lot more notes and write things down a lot more than I used to. Matter of fact, when I was younger, I could probably repeat the entire, watch a show or a movie and repeat everything I saw word for word, but now I can barely remember anything. So I'm not quite sure if that has to do with age or if it has to do with the surgery particularly, but I will say that was something that my memory has been something that's been bothering me a little bit longer than the surgery. Recently, in the last month and a half, I feel like the symptoms or the side effects have gotten worse, that they're worse than they were when I recorded the 1-month video update. So at the time when I noticed it initially, it just seemed like it came out of nowhere. I wasn't even really thinking about the surgery. I was thinking that these were new side effects or symptoms that were coming out of nowhere because, again, I thought I was better. And I contacted my surgeon's office and they sent me to the emergency room just to have some tests done to make sure that I was not having issues from like nothing was wrong, right? No new brain bleeds or anything like that, right? And when I went to have the test done, they did the CAT scan and said that everything looked good from the surgery. but they thought it could be some lingering side effects, things that have not healed completely yet or gone away completely yet. They suggested at that point, another issue is my writing. Like, I have difficulty writing things. My handwriting looks horrible right now. Sometimes I can't even read what I write. And then my hands shake a lot. So I'll try to use my mouse to pin down on a spot and maybe double click or whatever. And it will shake. It won't stay still. So that has been another issue also. And when I discussed this with the doctor at the emergency room and he talked to my surgeon, they felt like I was dealing with facial aphasia, which I'd never heard of before. But they explained that it was very, that it's common after going through a traumatic brain issue, and that it is something that we could work on with occupational therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy and speech therapy. I did start both of those, and at this point, I'm not going to act like it's gotten better or worse, because it's interesting because the therapist that I was working with, she asked me how often it happens. And I was like, it happens occasionally. And she was like, occasionally, like a few times a month. And I'm like, oh no, occasionally, like several times a day. As I am speaking, I will sometimes pause to get my words out. And that was an example. And I even told her when we met today that it's hard for me to kind of explain what happens, because it's not like I'm on, I probably do have several examples of it on some of my footage from recording, but I don't put that in my recordings on YouTube normally. I think today I might post the entire recording from beginning to end with very few edits, just so that I can show what I am dealing with if it happens during this recording like it did a second ago. So I explained to her, I'm not exactly sure how many times it happens throughout the day. I'm not like writing it down or taking notes, because usually when it happens, I'm in the middle of doing something. So I can't just like, pause and let me go write down these notes in the middle of my Zoom meeting or whatever it is that I'm doing where it happens. And it's not like I get some type of forewarning that it's coming or that it's going to happen. It just happens in the middle of me talking, or the lightheadedness will happen randomly, or whatever it is that I'm feeling at that moment. And there have been days when I have been extremely exhausted, like lethargic, no energy, that kind of thing. And I can't say 100% that has to do with it or not, but I just have been noticing a lot of different things. During this process of recovering, I feel like I have been following instructions and doing the things that I'm supposed to do to get better. I don't go out a lot. Like I said, I usually leave the house only for doctor's appointments or something dealing with my kids or grandkids, or maybe my mom too, but she doesn't have much stuff going on, so it's usually something with the kids. And I haven't been out of town really. I don't think I've been out of town at all since the surgery. I can't remember at this moment, but there were some family things going on that I wanted to go to DC for, or maybe down to South Carolina to visit my cousin, or other family members, but I've been unable to do that because, number one, I don't feel comfortable driving any type of distance. And number two, I just don't have the stamina or energy to be up, standing up and walking around a lot. Today, I actually went out myself to pick up some prescriptions from Sam's Club, and I couldn't even walk through Sam's Club without feeling lightheaded or dizzy or just physically exhausted. And this is what's been going on for a couple of months or a few months now. I was concerned initially about whether or not these things would get better. And I do get emotional. Like today, it actually happened when I was doing speech therapy. And I got a bit emotional about it because it can be overwhelming, wondering or not knowing if something that you're dealing with is going to get better, right? And I don't mean to get emotional, but one of the things you will learn as you follow me on my channel, I can be a very emotional person. And I try to be as authentic as I can. So I try I'm not one of those people where I can just be like stone faced if I'm feeling some type of way. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. So best believe if I'm feeling some type of way, you're going to know it because you're going to see it either in my face or whatever. But I did get kind of emotional because it's a little bit worrisome. I pray about it every day, obviously, and I try to focus on the positive because I don't want to spend any time dwelling on anything negative. And I want to manifest and to attract positivity, not negativity in any kind of way. So I pray about it, and I know things are going to work out the way that they're supposed to, and all things are working for my good. But you have to admit that, we pray, we are hopeful that God will do things the way that we want them or the way that we think they should be. And that is not always the case. Like there are other endings to some of these stories. I hope to be on this earth long enough to see my kids have more kids and grandkids, and their kids have kids and grandkids, several generations. I would love to be here till I'm like 100 and something. I don't know. I don't want to be, like a vegetable in the bed or nothing like that. But I want to be able to enjoy life and have some quality of life. But to see, my kids get married and graduate from college, and grandkids do the same thing, and great grandkids, hopefully, and that kind of thing. I want to say that when I had my boys, we had like 5 generations alive at that point. I lost my dad in 2017, and I lost my my maternal grandmother in 2016, I believe, and I lost my paternal grandparents and great-grandparents a little earlier than that. But they were all alive. Everyone except for my mom's dad was alive when both of my boys were born. And Tajir is 19 now, and Jamel is in his early 30s. So they both got to meet their grandparents, their great-grandparents, and great-great-grandparents. So I want to be here a long time. So I want to make sure that I do what I'm supposed to do and take care of my health. And so I am at this time trying to be better in terms of working out, foods I eat, that kind of thing. And I am going to say trying because I'm horrible at eating. I hate eating vegetables. Like, I'm just horrible as an adult. It's embarrassing to say that I have hated vegetables all my life and I run from vegetables. Like, the only vegetables I really like are collard greens, cabbage. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, those are the only two that I would say, oh yeah, I want cabbage or I want collard greens. Like, I don't like broccoli. I'll eat it, but I don't like it. String beans, same thing. I'll eat those, but I don't like them. Now, I will not eat squash, spinach. Ugh. What do you call those? Asparagus. The little mini cabbages. I know I sound ridiculous calling them mini cabbages, but bear with me. I don't eat them, so I don't know what they're called. Now, my kids loved vegetables when they were kids, which was great because I would serve them every day, but I did not want to eat them. And I'm the same way now. I try to find ways to kind of sneak in veggies. Like, I learned a trick from, I forget where I learned this, but they have this banana protein drink, and you can take it and blend in baby spinach. Isn't that what you call it? Baby spinach, like the see, I told you I can't remember stuff. Anyway, the baby spinach. So you take 2 big handfuls and put it in a blender and then pour the banana protein drink over it and blend it up. And you can't even taste the spinach. So I did get some of that today while I was in Sam's Club, the spinach, and I had to order the banana protein drink offline. And I figured that way I could try to get in more vegetables because I get tired of eating cabbage and collard greens all the time. So if I'm not eating those, then 9 times out of 10, especially now that I'm an empty nester, so I'm just cooking for myself or whoever's here at that moment. A lot of times I don't make vegetables. I'll just eat something else like cereal, or I might do a salad, but I don't really consider, lettuce to be a vegetable, even though it really is, right? I don't know. But and let me also say that, like, even salads, like, I don't want to just be like, oh, I want a salad. The only salad I have really liked eating is that Fuji apple chicken salad or something at Panera. That one's really good. But other than that, I'm not really a salad person either. Now, I will eat salad, especially with some Olive Garden dressing on it. That makes it pretty good to eat. Or I'll do ranch if I don't have that. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is I will eat some things because I have to, but I really don't want to. So I'm trying to find ways to incorporate more vegetables and healthy items in my diet. I have, over the last couple of years, lost a lot of weight. I'm still, I want to say about 50 to 75 pounds away from my goal weight, which would be pretty close to where I was in college. I'm about 5'9.5". Don't take away my half. And in college, I was right around 145, 150, which is crazy because I'll be talking to people now and they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm 150. I'm like, ain't no way. You gotta be 125, 120, something like that. Because I used to be 150 and I'm like way taller than you. And I used to feel like when I was in high school, I was like 140, 135, something like that. Same height. I've been this height since about 6th grade. And I used to feel like I was so fat. Like, I would be pinching, trying to see if I could pinch an inch. If I could pinch an inch, which back then I could not, I was on the track. there was a period after my freshman year where I had gained some weight, and I was like, oh, nah, this ain't gonna work. So I'm out on the track running and doing all that kind of crap to lose weight. And, had Jamel, and I was probably around 155, 160 after I had him. So I felt like that was okay. There was a little bit of extra skin or whatever because you've been having a big baby stomach and now it's gone. But for the most part, I felt comfortable where I was after I had him. Now, when I got about right around the time I turned 30, why am I going into this? Anyway, I gained weight after I turned 30, and I have not really gotten it off until like recently. And at this point, like I said, I've kept off the weight I've lost over the last year or so. And I still need to lose another 50 to 75 pounds. But I'm working on that now. So I'm watching what I eat. I am planning on getting back out walking now that it's getting a bit cooler. I don't feel comfortable doing my whole walking routine. I started with 1 mile a day during COVID and got up to about 5 miles a day. But I stopped that and have not been very consistent about getting back on it. And so I want to get back on that. But the way that I do my walking, I do it in my neighborhood. And once I leave my house, one complete lap around the way that I've laid it out is exactly 1 mile. So the last thing I want to do is get halfway through my walk and feel like I can't finish it, or I'm lightheaded or dizzy or something like that, and then I can't get back home easily. So I figure when I first start, I'll just walk maybe down the street to the entry of the subdivision and back. I think that's I don't even think that's 1/10 of a mile. So I figure if I do that a few times and just kind of build up my stamina, I can get back to the full mile and then go from there. I am hoping that doing those things will help with this recovery as well. And the therapists have told me that that should be the case. And that is what I'm praying for. But of course, we have to see what's going to happen. I highly recommend, number one, if you have not been to the doctor in the last year, please go get checked out. One of the reasons they think that I had the brain aneurysm is because my blood pressure had gone up. And because I'd never had high blood pressure before, it wasn't something that I paid attention to. It wasn't something that I worried about. Even if I went in the doctor's office and they took my blood pressure at that moment, and let's just say it was high at that moment, or it was higher than normal, you rest 5 minutes, or you sit there quiet for 5 minutes, or do whatever they tell you to do, and they take it again and it goes down. So it's like it's up and down. So why would I think that it's always high when it's never been high like my entire life? And so over since 2021, I know there have been a few times when I've been told when it was checked at a doctor's office that it was higher than it should have been. But because it was random here, there, again, I didn't think it was important. And when my doctor discussed putting me on medication, it was like, no, I don't want to go on all that medication, because you start taking medicines, it messes up something else, and then you're stuck on medicines for the rest of your life. Well, you see how well that worked out for me, because now, after the brain surgery, I've added more medications, blood thinners, all this type of stuff because of the surgery. And so now I'm taking more medications than I've ever taken before, and add in all these vitamins. I feel like I'm taking 1,000 pills a day, and it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, especially when I still got a brain aneurysm. So what is it doing? Anyway, that's not the point. I digress. I highly recommend that you go see a doctor, get checked out, find out what's going on with your body, make sure there's nothing that needs to be addressed or handled or anything, right? Because we lose a lot of people due to heart failure and diabetes and all these different things because people don't find out about them early enough and they're unable to address them before something happens. Men are a lot less likely to go to doctors than women are. So, we want to make sure that our men are getting checked out. We want to make sure everybody's getting checked out. Like even with our kids, making sure. And I think the kids are the ones that are monitored more closely because we make sure we go to their annual appointments. If they're in public schools, they have to have immunization shots and all that kind of stuff. So you have to have doctors for all of that. I know my boys always went to the doctor every year for their annual appointments, the dentist twice a year, those types of things. But now that they are grown, I bet you neither one of them go regularly, which we will address that too. But, so I want to impress upon you how important it is to get checked out, to make sure that you're going to the doctor regularly to address any little things that might be going on. Also, to pay attention to your body, because a lot of times we will notice things before it's brought up by a doctor. And for me, I found out about my brain aneurysm because I wasn't feeling well. Like I was feeling abnormal that particular day. My head was hurting. I felt like my speech was different. I felt lightheaded. All of the symptoms I'm talking about right now, like I was feeling some of those things that day. I had some numbness and I thought I was having a stroke. And so I did go to the emergency room that day and found out that I had the brain aneurysm and had to have brain surgery. And I mentioned in the previous video when I talked about finding out about it, and like I said, I'll link those videos, the previous videos or the playlist in this video so you can watch them. But what was my point? And see, that's another thing. Like I focus has always been an issue for me, but remembering right now. But anyway, what was my point? I don't know what my point was. Maybe after I finish recording this, I'll go back and rewind and try to figure out what my point was. But I think I was talking about making sure you pay attention to your body. And that particular day, I noticed all of that. And I went to the doctor, to the emergency room. I know what I was going to say. I was going to say, I tend to run to the emergency room whenever I notice something. And the reason I do that is twofold. Number one, because I don't have a copay for going to the emergency room, so it doesn't cost me any more than it does going to the doctor. Number two, if you go to the doctor, right, and let's say it is something wrong where you have to have a CAT scan or MRI or x-rays, your doctor's office is not going to be able to do it right there. You literally have to schedule an appointment somewhere else to go and get one of those things done. So if there's a problem going on at that moment and it's an urgent problem and you have to wait a week or 2 weeks, or somebody told me they have to wait a month to get an appointment with a specialist about something they were dealing with, what if you don't make it a month? Like, ain't nobody got time for all that. So I go to the emergency room, and that way they can do all of the tests they need to do right there. They can do blood work, they can do x-rays, MRIs, CAT scans, whatever they have to do, and figure it out. I don't have time to be waiting, period. And sometimes that is the case for others, and they do wait and it turns out negatively. So go to the doctor. Go to, if you're feeling strange, go to the emergency room, go be seen by someone and make sure things are okay, because I want to be able to see you and say hey and chit chat in the conversation in the chat, and you know be able to, if I know you personally, maybe hug you around the neck or something like that. Like, I don't want to be going to people's funerals all the time. I have been to too many funerals in the last couple of years, and I'm too young for that. Like, I know I look like I'm like 30, okay, and you ain't got to be mean or ugly in the chat. Just keep it to yourself. But, I'm older than that. So, yeah, I'm not trying to be going to a bunch of funerals, and I'm not trying to be looking at the obituaries. Do they even have obituaries in the newspaper still, or do you have to do it online? Do they have physical newspapers still? I think they do. Like, I think so. I'm not sure because I don't buy newspapers. But I'm not trying to be looking at the obituaries every day to see if my friends are in there or, that kind of stuff. So, and I feel like the best way for us to deal with it is by getting checked out, making sure that we stay on top of things that are bothering us so that we can live long lives like Methuselah. How many years was Methuselah when Methuselah died? Like 100 and something years. I was doing my Bible study today, and Abraham was like 100 years old when he had his son. And don't judge me because I don't know everything, but I do remember listening to that today about him being 100 and Sarah was like close to 100. I don't know how old she was, like in her 80s or something like that. But she was old when she had her son. And we ain't having kids like that no more, but we want to live long lives and be able to see our kids grow up and see our grandkids grow up and all that good stuff. So I hope that you guys will take what I'm saying to you. And if you haven't been to be checked out in a while, go do it. I would love to hear what you have to say about things that you've gone through, things that your family members or friends have gone through. Comment in the chat and let me know. Number one, do you go to the doctor? Do you stay on top of those types of things? Number two, do you feel that your body tells you what's going on? And I'm going to throw this out there too, and this might be another conversation starter, but there have been a lot of reports where they talk about how people of color are treated differently in hospitals than people that are different. I'll say it like that. And so a lot of times our pain is not... It's funny. Let me give you an example. Our pain is like, how do I say this? Because I can't think of the words right now. But when we are in pain, it is downplayed versus people that are not of color. And so I had a surgery last year, and they literally had to cut me from side to side. So it was extremely painful, not like the brain surgery was. And when I got discharged, the doctor that discharged me was not my regular doctor, was not the surgeon. And she gave me a very low dose pain medicine when I was discharged, because the reasoning was because they tried to limit the super helpful narcotics because they are are addictive, and people are getting addicted to them, and they don't want that to happen, and blah, 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 blah. First of all, I've never been addicted to any kind of anything, number one. Number two, I've just been cut from side to side. Give me something that is going to help with my pain. And number three, you don't know me like that. Talk to my doctor. Talk to my doctor. And she did not, and discharged me with basically some glorified Tylenol or something. I don't even remember what it was. And I went home with it because I didn't have an option. I requested something stronger. She refused to do it, and I got discharged regardless. And my doctor was off that day. So I did have, because he has been my doctor for over 20 something years, I did have a number to reach him, but I didn't want to be a pain in the butt. So I didn't reach out initially, because this was a Sunday, I believe. And I went home and attempted to take what I was prescribed for that first night, and could not sleep the entire night because I was in excruciating pain. Excruciating, like it was the worst pain I have ever felt in my life. I reached out, and actually I think that was a Saturday, because I want to say the next day was Sunday when I actually reached out to my doctor. He asked me why I did not call him sooner, and he immediately called in a medication or prescription for a much stronger pain medicine, which was extremely helpful. And it's funny because sometimes you get prescribed medication and you'll take it the way you're supposed to take it, and you don't even use it all. Like, ain't nobody over here taking pills just because you got pills. Like, people are taking it because they are in pain. Help. And I've also been informed by people in the medical field that if you are trying to heal from a surgery or something like that, and your body is in a lot of pain, it prevents the healing process to happen the way that it's supposed to happen. So you do want to be an advocate for yourself. You do want to pay attention to these things, because we don't want to have our pain not acknowledged because of our skin color, right? And we don't want to receive subpar help or diagnoses or services because of our skin color. And so my request was going to be that if you have experienced that, comment in the chat and let me know like what you went through, how you dealt with that issue. Because I know for me, I have no problem speaking up for myself, but that doesn't mean they're going to give you what you need or what you want or whatever, may be required to keep you healthy or out of pain at that moment. So give us some feedback. Let me know what your thoughts are. I hope that this conversation is helpful in some kind of way. And if it is, leave me a heart in the comment. And if you are not currently subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you will be notified the next time I post an update. Thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate you all. Bye.